welcome back to my channel where I post pretty much 3 days in a row of new video because I haven't posted in like a month. Yeah. Sorry about that. So I had asked you guys a while back on Instagram and Tumblr what questions you had for me to make a frequently asked questions video. I had recorded this once already and I just did such a terrible job. There was way too many ums and likes and I wanted to try it again. Good job, Jenna. First question, where did you draw inspiration from and how did you learn how to develop your style of drawing? I draw inspiration from a lot of things. I grew up inspired by anime mostly. In Canada, anime was very scarce, so I had to go online to try and find it, and even then the internet wasn't as big as it is now, so. But things that inspired me a lot are Ghibli, obviously, and Sailor Moon inspired me a lot growing up. But now it's mostly just other artists. Like, I get so inspired by other artists. I get inspired by fashion and movies, just life in general. I get inspired by going out for hikes. It's funny that you asked how I develop my style because I still don't think I have a particular style. I flip-flop all over the place because I want to try everything. In the past, I used to struggle a lot to try and find my style because I was doing freelance illustration. That's something that you absolutely had to have. I realized that it wasn't really my shtick, so I stopped trying to do freelance illustration, and it seems like once I stopped trying to force myself to find a style, it kind of developed more, and like I feel like I have a bit more of a concrete style, but I still don't have something, you know, solid. It's basically just practicing, and you know, if you feel like you don't have a style of your own, just look at other artists' stuff, try and like follow their techniques and see if you find one that you like. Obviously don't like, you know, copy them completely, but you know, if you find that, like for me, I use like the tapered brush pen a lot. Buy a tapered brush pen if you think it looks cool, try it out, and if it works for you, then great, and then just draw with it the things that you want to draw. It's all a process, and developing your style is part of that super long process. When Given Flight says, earliest art memories that lead you to where you are now. The first time I watched Sailor Moon and I got goosebumps for the first time, and that inspired me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love this. How can I just be as much into this thing as possible? So I like wanted to just be Sailor Moon. I want to draw Sailor Moon. Wee Tiny Pal says, how do you deal with art block? Art block is tricky. I don't have it so much anymore, but when I used to have it, I would just stop drawing, and it's totally okay to stop drawing for a while. If you're not feeling it, don't do it. Another thing you could do is just watch movies. Watch something that inspires you. Go on YouTube and watch other people draw because that inspires the hell out of me. You could go on Tumblr. There's lots of artists on Tumblr. It depends on how you're feeling. If you need to just stop for a while, then just stop. But if you are looking for inspiration, you want to draw, go look for it. You know, if you can't think of anything, you can't like think of any original ideas, because I think that's another question. Find a bunch of things that you like and smush them all together in a drawing. Scroll through Tumblr and then just count, like, you know, every picture that you see something cool, take that thing and then scroll down some more and find another thing that's cool. And then just take pieces of each one and draw them all in one drawing. See if you can like incorporate them all. There's so many different things you can try, but basically, you know, it's either you need to stop for a while or, you know, force yourself to try and find your inspiration. Riona Lu _ said, other artists that influenced you. There's a lot of artists that influenced me. Obviously, Miyazaki influenced me a lot. Sailor Moon, Card Captors, those are like the early ones. Now it's like Sachin Teng, Soey Milk, Goni Montez. There's a bunch more. I'll put a link to some of my favorite artists in the description box below. Padoodly Doo said, important art exercises you find important or useful. Basically just sketching every day. Have a sketchbook and make sure you sketch all the time. It doesn't matter if you have like a fancy sketchbook or, you know, you have a binder and you just stick pieces of paper in there. You can take the paper out, rip them out if you hate them. Nobody has to see it, just make sure you're drawing every single day. Where you basically draw like a squiggly circle and then you try and make a face out of it. And I thought that was a pretty cool exercise. You just try and draw everything. Even if you don't like drawing it, like you guys know the kind of stuff that I like to draw. It's good to draw birds, it's good to draw landscapes, it's good to get like, you know, a total rounded thing going on. I don't know how. What is words? I don't know. I'm sorry. Just draw a lot. Just draw everything. Especially if you're into drawing people, make sure you sketch anatomy, like draw bones, draw muscle tissue, look at some old like scientific illustration books, you know, try really detailed stuff. Another good one is to do sketches of people, draw from life, because when you draw from life, you're taking in more, and you know, if you're drawing from a photograph all the time, you can tell you're drawing from a photograph. It remains kind of flat, and like I do it all the time. I always draw from photographs. I need to stop because you can feel it, you can tell. And if you go out and draw people in real life and draw them as quickly as possible, you'll be able to draw faster, which is important, especially if you want to be like a comic artist or an illustrator. You know, you get down the important things first, you start to get better at gesture drawing. Basically just draw from life as often as possible, sketch as often as possible. You know, you don't have to go to art school to do these things, just get out there and do it. There's a thing that comes here, and I know it's in the States too, it's called Dr. Sketchy's Anti-Art School. I've gone to it twice with my friend, and it's pretty awesome. You just go in, I paid like $12, and there's like a girl or a couple girls or a guy that'll come in, and then they'll basically just model, and they'll tell you, okay, you have 5 seconds to draw. Now you have 10 seconds to draw this pose, and now you have 5 minutes to draw this pose. And you're like flipping through your sketchbook trying to draw as fast as possible, and it's a really good lesson, and you end up leaving with a lot of, you know, really crappy and half-decent sketches. But it teaches you the same thing that they try and teach you in art school, so it's great. xhan_mayx or zanmakes, I don't know, said, how long can you concentrate on a work of art? I find it hard to stay focused for long periods of time. I also do as well. This is why I really like using watercolor, because it dries kind of quickly. Oils are very difficult for me to do because I'm impatient. I just want to keep painting. I don't want to stop. And unfortunately, you have to leave it for long periods of time if you paint with oils. I just try and get it all done in one period of time. If I stop a piece of artwork, I have a really hard time starting it again. Personally, I have to try and finish something, you know, within that day or within those 2 days, otherwise the inspiration is just gone. I'm very like flighty like that, or my brain is at least. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. Just try and stick with it. Try doing things that are like quicker, like watercolors. Try doing sketches and drawings, and then maybe eventually you'll find yourself, you know, craving doing more rounded pieces, things that are more detail oriented and take longer, like oil paintings or, you know, really detailed drawings. Morgan_Hirasimi said, how you do your line work including the brush you use. So I get this one all the time. I use the Pentel brush pen. There are 2 kinds. Here they are. And both kinds require refills, and that's why I like them. I like having as little waste as possible, even though there's still waste and it drives me nuts. Faye Dust said, what advice would you give to an aspiring artist? This is a very long one, and actually one of my online acquaintances, she's really awesome. She's on Instagram and YouTube as well. She did an awesome video for this, and until I do my own, I'm just going to link you over to her video. Okay asked, did you always know you wanted to make art a career, or did you see yourself doing it for the long term? Yeah, I always thought I was going to do art. Ever since I could think about what I wanted to do, it was never a question of anything else. I thought I would maybe want to be a marine biologist because I love water, and then I realized that sharks actually terrify me, and so do big things underwater, so that didn't really seem like something that was going to happen. And then I thought maybe I'd be a vet because I like animals, but then I soon realized that there's a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to do. So yeah, art has always been the thing that I wanted to do. I definitely see myself doing it until I die. La Demonita said, tips for getting work out there, getting it noticed, and building a fan base. Okay, so when I started, I thought the only way I could really do anything, oh god, there's a lot of things I just messed up on. Like I went the complete roundabout way. But honestly, if I could do it again, the number one way I would go about building a fan base if you're doing art is I would start on Instagram and Tumblr. Those are the two platforms that I think you can really get noticed on because they're so visual. And also, it's all about hashtags, so somebody can easily find you if they're searching for art. I don't support Facebook so much. I honestly just really don't like Facebook as a company. I'm sad it owns Instagram now, but I would definitely go on those two, and I would make sure that if you're taking photos of your art, make sure they're good quality, like make sure they aren't too yellow. Invest in a decent camera or a decent phone that takes, you know, half decent pictures, and then all you need from there is just the art to back it up. Make sure you use your hashtags, and don't go crazy on the hashtags, but you know, like make sure you do a few so that people can find you, right? Also, another suggestion, if you are really looking to get followers, you could always draw people that, you know, you find that you actually want to draw and are inspired by, you know, that have a bigger fan base than you, and, you know, there's a chance that they might pimp you out. So that's another way you could go about it as well. Just don't ask like, hey, I drew you, can you share this? Just, you know, if you want to draw this person anyway, if you're practicing, you'd like to draw them and they just happen to share it for you, then great, you're doing good. But don't go up to people and ask. Don't be pushy, don't, you know, ask for followers. Just be humble. Yusiko said, on average, how long do you spend drawing in a week? It varies greatly. I will go from waking up at like 9, 10, and I will be up till sometimes 2, and I only break for meals basically, and I will draw that entire time. And I'll go for like a week doing that every single day. I'll work more than like 80 hours in a week, and then the next week I'll do like 20 hours or less. It's totally random. AJ_Mu Artistry or MU Artistry said, any advice for an individual that would like to begin painting, drawing, but gets frustrated because nothing pretty comes out? So, referring to myself, would you recommend school? I do not recommend school. I will never recommend school to anyone unless, you know, it's not art related. I really think that art is just 100% practice thing. All you need to do is practice and you're in good. The biggest thing that you need to overcome is to just not get discouraged. When you start to get really discouraged and you feel like you want to start over or throw it out or whatever, that is like the hump that you have to ride over to actually, you know, prosper. Get a sketchbook and draw on the sketchbook. Nobody has to see it, it doesn't matter. I feel like there's an expectation to always be showing yourself and like expressing yourself on the internet these days. I totally understand it because I feel the exact same way, but nobody has to see what you do. You can shove it underneath your freaking mattress if you don't like it. Do what you're doing and keep doing it. Use references. If you're having a hard time, make sure you find a pose or, you know, a picture of an animal or bird or, you know, whatever you're trying to draw, and use that reference. Don't try and draw from your head when you are at a starting stage, because then you have a harder time, you know, building up, and you'll have nothing to go from. So yeah, I suggest sketching. I suggest copying from a photo or from real life, not from your head, and practice nonstop. Don't need school for art, just practice. And another thing is that, you know, I started out just the same as anyone else. And like, you know, as good as it is to look up to people who draw or paint better than you do, because like I do the exact same thing. Always look up to people who are better than you, because then you can improve, but don't compare yourself so harshly that you get discouraged, because then you're just not going to want to do it. So just do your best, practice constantly. You know, everybody starts out hating their art. It's totally fine. Alex the Cat 124 said, how you designed your stamp and where you bought it from. I honestly just googled my city name, custom stamp, found a shop, got it printed off. It was $30-something, and that was it. You can find them on Etsy for about the exact same price. Just look up custom stamp Etsy. You have to do the design for it, because I made the design for mine. Bebop_woman said, supplies and where you buy, specifically if online. I actually haven't bought art supplies online before. The only thing I bought online was packaging supplies. I always just go to my local art store. I try and avoid stores like Michael's, you know, like the big craft stores. I try and go to like the actual, you know, local art stores. And that's pretty much where I buy everything. I haven't had to order anything yet. Insta user 2020 said, how do you draw figures and what artists have influenced you? I already have, I'm going to post a list down below about the artists that have influenced me. But to draw figures, I honestly just practiced a lot. I started by looking at a lot of manga books, like how to draw manga books. And then from there, I guess it just kind of grew. I've always kind of drawn a lot from my head, and I know that it's not the best to do that. Like it's you know, it's fine, but it's not the best, because then you're not growing as much. But yeah, how do I draw figures? I don't know. Sometimes I'll use a reference pose, and then other times I'll just kind of draw from my head if it's really simple. I need to get more into drawing more dynamic poses. That's something that I'm slowly working on. But basically, like, yeah, if you go on Pinterest, you look up like pose references or Tumblr pose references. Start like a file on your computer of different pictures. Draw from those and you're set. Omelifant said, can you talk about how to build a market of people who want to buy your stuff, please? It's the exact same thing with Instagram and Tumblr. Make sure you're posting your stuff, make sure you're kind, post often, hashtag, all that good stuff. I might do another video talking more about this, but for now that's all I can give, because I gotta blaze through these things. Starlight Chalk said, I'm a young artist and I haven't even left school yet. Any advice? Practice. If art is something that you think you want to spend your life doing, you know, try and just draw all the time. I wasted so much time in high school, you know, chasing boys and just being a stupid teenager. I really wish I would have drawn every day. So honestly, do your best to draw every day. If I would have drawn every day, I would have been so much like further ahead now. You learn so much more and so much faster when you're younger. So do your best to just draw every day and make it a priority. I'd love a how-to breakdown on watercolor techniques and supplies. Actually talking about what you're doing in the video while you're doing it. That would be rad. I will definitely do that. Georgia M. Casey said, I'd really love to know how you developed your style and what you draw, pun intended, your inspiration from. Good one, good one. I developed my style just by practicing. I went through phases where when I was younger I drew a lot of like anime stuff, and I drew a lot of gory stuff when I was going through my like depressed stage. I've tried so many different things and so many different styles. I've been inspired by so many different artists that it's kind of just been all over the place. Like, I think it's really hard to put that into such a short narrative, because I think that it's been a huge journey, and I think that's something that maybe I'll do another separate video on too. Love May Kill You asked, I know it's not easy getting your art recognized, but what steps do you recommend to take? What steps would you avoid? Okay, so I already said what steps I would recommend to take. What steps I would avoid would be, I would avoid going to school, first of all, because I think that's just a huge money sink, and I think it's kind of like ironic in a sense that somebody would go and pay a ton of money to go to school to learn art, and then you are expected to be making a living after you become it. Like, it's already hard making money once you become an artist. You're going to school for art, then you're going to be stuck paying off all of these things, and you're going to have a full-time job while hardly being able to do your art on the side. It's great. Like, I have one friend who went to art school and she has so much knowledge from it, but personally, I went to just graphic design school for a year, and even though it was only like 13 grand, it's not that much for a tuition, I'm still like suffering majorly for it, and I regret it so much. That's a step that I would avoid. I would also avoid freelance art. That's a huge struggle. If you know that you're really into freelancing, then go for it. But if you know that you'd be really good for freelancing, you'd be good for dealing with clients, and you'd handle the stress really well, then go for it. If you just want to be an artist, honestly, just do like what I said. Start getting your stuff out there on Instagram. Get a shop set up. I would suggest starting with Etsy, and then, if you can get somebody to edit your files, or if you can edit your files and clean them up, get onto like Redbubble. So then, it would be a slow income to start with. On Redbubble, it took me quite a while to even get up to making like $20 a month, which is when they'll actually like finally pay you. Just start getting your stuff out there. Don't try doing things for other people. You will find yourself being drained, not having any energy to do your own stuff. You might even go through periods where you just hate art and don't ever want to draw anything ever again. And that's what happens when you stop drawing what you want to do, because drawing is all about, self-expression. It's all about you. It's all about your soul. And once you start selling your soul out, it gets heavy, and you can't. In my experience, I found that I couldn't do anything anymore, and it just like crippled me, and I didn't want to do it. Now I do the occasional commission, but it's still like, it's not nearly as awesome as doing my own stuff. I would suggest just working on your own stuff, get a side job or full-time job, and just draw in the meantime, and make sure to be posting it. And then eventually people will come around if they like your work. And don't be discouraged in the beginning if they don't like it. It's totally fine. It happens to everyone. Like, I had 0 followers. Like, it was a very slow process for me. Snake Juice said, show us all your tattoos. I will do that once my sleeve is finished, because I have so much unfinished stuff that I just do not want to show it yet. Okay, here's the last one I'm going to do for now. This one is from Anonymous, and they said, I want to go to art school, but frankly, I'm terrified. How talented/experienced do you have to be to get accepted into art school? Will schools... Okay, first I'm going to start with that. I think there is a certain level of quality that is expected at different art schools. I was looking into going to art school when I was like 17 or 18. And they do have a certain, like I said, level of quality that they expect. Honestly, it's good that they do this, because otherwise you're just going to be wasting your money. I do think it's good for you to practice, and if you don't get into an art school and you're trying to, don't be discouraged, because you've got to start somewhere, and just keep trying, because eventually your art's going to be at a level where you can get in there. Go to conceptart.org, go to DeviantArt, try and find people that aren't family to get critiques on your art, so you can build up kind of a tough skin for it. And once you get critiques, then you can kind of know what you're doing wrong, because people will point it out for you. Don't expect your friends and family to do it, and because 1, that's too much pressure, and 2, they'll always sugarcoat it. So try and find people online or something that will give you honest opinions, and then that way you can grow faster. Remember, they're only critiquing your art, they're not critiquing you. It's not something that's wrong with you. You're just, this is something that you just made. It's totally fine. It's not you, it's not your soul. It's okay. You're just starting. Even if you're not starting, like when somebody critiques me, it still hurts a little, and I think I've gotten too comfortable. You guys have been so nice to me. I've gotten so comfortable that I just when I do get a critique, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, you're supposed to actually, get the critique so you can know what you're doing wrong and actually work on it. I think you need to be fairly experienced, and if you're actually doubting yourself that you're not experienced enough, then don't go yet. Like, you should go in having absolutely no doubt, in my opinion, because it's a lot of money. Will art schools not accept you if you are bad at art? I think some do and some don't. If you think you have bad art, or you've been told by multiple people or something like that you have bad art, maybe you shouldn't go yet. I think you should think you have good art before you try going to school. And honestly, I don't think I would trust a school that would just take anybody, to be honest. You can learn how to draw anything from a book and YouTube, honestly. Coming from a person who spent so much money on schooling, and seeing other people who've spent so much money on schooling and are still paying it off, I honestly think you just need to practice. Here's me if I would have went to art school. Here's me if I didn't go to art school. If you draw the exact same amount, even if you do or don't go to art school, you are still gonna learn the exact same amount, and you're still gonna be just as good as art. And you know what? Maybe you'd be a little better if you went to art school, but it's not gonna be a significant amount more. You're just gonna come out of art school with a few more people, that a few more connections. You're gonna come out of art school with a few more techniques, how to do things, and that's about it. Honestly, you could be making money working a regular job, or making your art if you're at the point where you can sell your art, and doing that and practicing every day and spending all that time doing that, as opposed to going to school and losing a shite load of money and coming out pretty much the same as if you hadn't gone. I'm probably not the best person to ask about this. I'm going to say that now because, like I said, I didn't go to art school. I went to graphic design school. So it's a little bit different, if not a lot different, but still, I know people who've gone to art school, and although they know the techniques, the one girl I know, she's an incredible artist. I think she's a better artist than me, and she's working nonstop to pay off her loan. In today's day and age, especially in North America, and in Japan, in North America, it's not the same. You used to be able to, go on this treadmill where you get out of high school, and then you go to college, and then you do what you learned in college, and then you have the kids, family, whatever, all that other BS. But now, it's completely different. It's not the same, and our parents and grandparents are freaking forcing us to do these things because that's what worked in their time. It doesn't work like that anymore. You can go to college these days and spend a crap load of money on something, and you are not guaranteed to make any of that money back. My boyfriend, for God's sakes, he's a programmer. He went to school and spent tons of money, and he still hasn't paid it back. And people always think oh, he's a programmer, he's so rich. No, it's not like that anymore. It's just not like that anymore. So I wouldn't put so much pressure on yourself about art school, because it's one of the things, and I found this out when a month after I enrolled myself into graphic design, I found a list of things that were the worst things to go to school for because they didn't pay off. One of the things was graphic design, and that was a huge bummer, especially after I had signed everything. Another one was photography, and then another one was art school, and there was a couple of others, but basically just things that you could watch videos about. And if you really put in the effort and put a fire under your own butt, you could learn it yourself. I could have gone to Chapters, bought the $200 worth of books, and taught myself, because honestly, that's all that happened. They sent me a bunch of books and then said, this is what you have to do this day, this is what you have to do this day, hand this in, hand this in, hand this in. And I actually went to Chapters and I saw these books and I looked at the prices and I was like, holy crap, I just spent 13 grand on this course when I could have just bought the books. And on that, how do you begin to make and choose portfolio pieces? Start with a really good piece and then having mixed in between, and then end with a really good piece that's super memorable. I would almost go as far as to say put your best piece at the very end. I feel like the things I've done so far aren't good enough, and I don't know how to put a conscious effort towards making more portfolio work. I think the problem that you're probably having, and I've had this before because I went to Thailand and I forced myself to make a portfolio for freelance illustration. I forced a style, I tried so hard, and honestly, it like looked stiff and I couldn't think of enough things, and the problem was that I was forcing myself. If you find that you stop forcing yourself to do something and like forcing yourself to like, you know, have this ideal of going to art school, then, you know, maybe it'll come easily. Maybe you're just not mentally ready for it yet, and like, you know, it sucks to hear, but if you take that burden off of yourself, then you can actually feel free to draw what you want. It's the same thing as when I stopped doing commissions. I stopped doing commissions and I was just able to draw constantly. Like, I was so inspired all the time. And I think that's similar with forcing yourself to make a portfolio. That's the exact same feeling that I got doing both things. It sounds like you're having a really hard time with it, so I feel like maybe if you just take a break and relax and, you know, stop thinking of art school, like take it off the pedestal and just draw and do what you enjoyed doing in the first place. You know, there's no point in making art if you're not actually enjoying it. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about for now. I wanted to stand because I sit all the time and now my legs kind of hurt because I've been exercising like crazy. Well, I didn't get to touch on as much as I would have liked. There's still a lot of things I'd like to talk about that I didn't have time for, but I'll definitely be doing more frequent FAQ videos, and I'm going to be doing more frequent videos now that I have a computer that I can edit on. Yay! Yeah, sorry guys, I wanted to stand this entire video because I sit all the time, but my legs were starting to get tired. Bleh. And also, I apologize for my hair. I'm on day 3, so I wanted to wear a toque to cover up my greasiness. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. Sorry about the toque. Maybe someday you'll be able to actually see me in a non-greasy form. I'm an artist, dude. We're meant to be greasy and messy and gross. That's terrible. It's a terrible judgment. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I answered everything decently well. It's kind of hard to do it under pressure with a camera staring at you. Let me know if you guys have any other ideas for videos. I'd like to make more of these FAQ videos if I can. I am starting to kind of get more organized, and hopefully I've kind of like caught up enough on my videos since I stopped posting for that month. I will be posting more often now. So stick around, and I hope you enjoy what is to come. Please click the like and subscribe button if you'd like to see more, or just click like if you want to be an awesome person. And yeah, have a good day guys!